A very good afternoon to one and all. I'm delighted to welcome you to a new episode of Futuristic Education, our web series dedicated to 21st century education. An Edudevs initiative in association with Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham to enlighten and empower the education community in the education trends for the future. These are, let me tell you, city-based web series where the educators of one city are invited to voice their views on a pertinent issue in the 21st century. I'm sure I'm your host today and moderator for the day, and it gives me immense pleasure to share with you that we have a new format for this exclusive episode. Today, we have invited guests from our students and educator community and hear out their perspective along with our edu leaders. Without further ado, let me very quickly introduce you to our esteemed and special panel. Today, we have with us Dr. Prashant Nair, who is an associate professor at the Department of Computer Science and Engineering, Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham. He has over 20 years of teaching and mentoring and experience and academic administration experience as well. Let us now welcome Ms. Poonam Gautam, who leads St. M.R. Japuria School, Kanpur Road in Lucknow. She has been an educationist for over 25 years. From Lucknow, we also have Ms. Gunjan Mehrotra, Director of VIPA Solar, working passionately towards making sustainable development goals in education a reality. Welcome, ma'am. And now, introducing our special guest, Ms. Padmini Das, who is a faculty from Department of English at GD Goenka, Gurgaon, representing the educator community and a very close and old friend of mine. To voice the student group, we have Ms. Ayushi Ladda, an undergraduate of liberal arts and a recent pass out, and Mr. Madhav Kandelwal of grade 11 GD Goenka. Welcome you all on today's discussion on social media in the classrooms. To quote Ted Cashmere, founder of Mashable, an international media organization, he says, and I quote, "We are living at a time when attention is the new currency. Those who insert themselves into as many channels as possible look set to capture the most value." I completely agree with Kashmir, and I also validate the growth of my organization, Edudevs School of Inspired Teaching and Learning, quite reasonably to social media. But today, we are talking about integrating social media in the classrooms and not merely about the likes and external validation. This is true for our education system, and our teacher-students connect as well. From Twitter to Instagram to Snapchat and even WhatsApp, today's students, that is Gen Z, are more connected through social media platforms than ever before. Not only that, we see that parents are connected there as well. However, teachers have been a little reluctant to incorporate the social media as an educational technology platform in the classroom. So what's stopping them? Is it the traditional mindset that as we adults, social media will be a distraction to our youngsters rather than a tool in the classrooms? Well, this has been found inaccurate when teachers are knowledgeable and know how to properly integrate this in the classrooms. When we did research, we found out that most of the teachers' responses were that how do I integrate social media into my classroom? And second, how do I ensure that students are responsible digital citizens? And let me tell you, using social media for learning purposes is not about how many likes your post has, but it's all about a platform which gives you an opportunity to explore, experience, and share your desires, hopes, and aspirations. Without much ado, let me start with this today's discussion and not open the or spill the beans. Now, to our panelists, the first question I would address would be a question which will be addressed to each one of you, and we will be seeking your perspective on this particular issue. So we see that social media in classrooms to connect. One of the teachers told me that I really like social media in the classrooms to connect my students with other learners and teachers around the world. Social media is also really a good tool to connect with parents, especially the K-12. But how many of us are doing that? So my question is, do you think, is it advisable to use social media as a tool to connect with parents and students? Would you think it is judicious to use media for schoolwork? I would first request Ms. Gunjan Mehrotra to answer this, followed by Ms. Gautam, and then Dr. Nair, then Ms. Padmini, followed by Ayushi, and finally by Madhav. Yeah. Yes.
Thank you so much. I would say being offline in today's world is a luxury, actually. Just flashback to March 2020 and think of our mindsets at that time. So all the regular traditional mindsets of the 40 plus people have been smashed at the onset of the pandemic. We have been sulking at the economic issues. We have been sulking at the health issues, the setback that education has received. But minus social media, we would have been pushed back to the year 1920 when Spanish flu had gripped the world. When for a long time people like none of us was alive at that time, but we are sure that education must have had a major setback because of the Spanish flu. So 20 years after the Spanish flu, when COVID hit all of us, it was only social media that allowed all educators to stay afloat. In fact, many educators, many teachers lost their job. People who were not very good at using social media, people who were not very good at using online systems, people who were not happy to communicate with parents, people who were not ready to receive calls from parents, from students, they were not able to cope up with the situation. For the past 2 years, this entire fabric of growth, the entire education system, the entire economic system has been hanging. And thank God that we have not given up. We can still stay afloat mainly because of the existence of social media. So it is unfair to write off social media saying that it is a total distraction, as long as we use it as a tool, as you said. Because, you know, when we were very young as students, we were often given a topic for essay writing. Science, how can you use science as science is a good slave or a good master? If you remember, is science a good slave or a good master? So I would replace boon or bane, right? So I would replace science here with social media. Social media is a very bad master. It is. I will say it's not a very good master. If we just surrender ourselves and look for validation from the people around us, then of course we are not doing the right thing. But if we are sorted and we are able to train the generation next, the alpha generation, to use social media as a tool, as a slave, then there's no end to the progress that humanity, the humankind can achieve. Because gone are the days, it is not possible for us to exist in today's world if we are like, I wouldn't say that you cannot exist, but you cannot thrive. You cannot be a very successful person if you divorce social media from all kinds of sectors. So social media is somehow necessary for us now. But yes, we should be very we need to educate everybody, people who are dependent on us. We need to educate them and ensure that they use it the right way.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
I think, yes, we all resonate. Let's hear it out from Ms. Poonam Gautam. Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon, everyone. I also agree with Gunjan ma'am that yes, social media has turned out to be a boon during the pandemic. Otherwise, we would have been totally at a loss what is to be done, how it is to be done, and how do we go about it. And this has really come very handy for all of us. But yes, we need to be cautious with the usage. The way every coin has got two sides, social media also has got two sides. How we use it depends on us also, but an awareness is essentially needed to use social media in a positive way. So for this, we need to make our parents, our children, the society aware of the boons and the negative aspects, the positive aspects, everything about it, so that these goodness is taken in the right path.
Yeah, very true. I think what you're saying, that we need to, educate, and we need to be cautious before using social media. Let's hear it out what Dr. Prashant Nair has to say about it. Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Devyani ma'am. So I just want to echo what Gunjan and Poonam were also alluding to, the fact that we have to be cautious, we have to be judicious. Let me just belt out some facts. See, love it or hate it, you cannot ignore it. I make this quote, love it or hate it, you cannot ignore this. Today, there are 3 billion folks on Facebook, 3 billion folks who use Facebook on a monthly basis. You add the Chinese Facebook Weibo onto the mix, you have another 1 billion folks. 1 out of 2 people on the planet has got either a Facebook or a Weibo account. Now look at the other social media also. Today, every day, the people watch 1 billion hours of YouTube videos, 1 billion per day. And there are 1 billion users of YouTube at any point of time. If you look at other stuff like WhatsApp or Instagram, they're all veering towards 2 billion. So how can you ignore this huge community? I always say, if Facebook was a country, it is the largest country in the world, bigger than China and India. You cannot ignore it. So you have to leverage it to the best possible way. As also, you should be judicious. I do not deny the fact that there are pros and cons. So we have to discern our ways to be able to judiciously use it for the benefit of the society.
Yeah, very true and very well said. I completely resonate. And thank you so much for updating us with the facts and figures. And I'm actually amazed. This is in billions, whether it is people using or whether it is the hours that are being registered. It's like 1 billion hours. Thank you so much, Dr. Nair. Let's hear it out from Ms. Padmini Das, because I'm sure that she is there, right there in the classrooms. And let's hear her perspective. Let's see her pain on that, because there are other perspectives. And yes, Padmini, yes.
Thank you so much, Devyani ma'am. Thank you. While I agree with Mr. Nair, Ms. Gunjan, and Ms. Poonam, while I agree wholeheartedly that social media is an unavoidable situation. Children are using it. I would say that if I bring social media into the classroom, it will be sort of legitimizing its use. And the teens, the pre-teens, teenagers, they are emotionally very fragile people. Now, with whatever little knowledge I have about social media, I would say that you are making them shape their views on the opinions of others. It will diminish creativity. It will become more opinionated. You are afraid to voice your opinion. See, it is a boon or a bane. The tone was set earlier. If it is a boon and a bane, and there are teenagers who are there, I mean, I guess majority of the population is the millennials, zillennials, or whatever they are called now. But yes, my only fear is that it will stop creativity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Padmini. I think that's something that comes straight from the heart of an educator, because I do relate. I have been an educator that, all said and done, we talk about the 21st century skills of collaboration, communication, critical, and, social media does help you explore and, bring you up collaborative. But then this age group, the children, we are talking about children, they are very fragile and they're very vulnerable. And have we done enough of groundwork to empower them emotionally, psychologically, to deal with this? So let us hear it out, what Ayushi and Madhav has to say, because let's see how they respond to this and how they are handling. Let's take the students' perspective, which becomes very important. Ayushi and Madhav do represent the student community on this webinar today. Yes, Ayushi.
Hello, good evening, everyone. So I definitely, what Gunjan ma'am said about a boon and a bane, in my high school or my early school years, I was given the aspect not of science, but of social media, that social media is a boon or a bane. So I have written those essays. And I completely agree that at that point, we were thinking whether it's a boon or a bane, but it's here now. It is incorporated into our lives. And it's something that has, like everyone has been saying, it's unavoidable. But imagine that you enter a completely new city and you don't know how the city works. And unless you enter a street, you don't know if it's a dangerous alley or a wholesome colony. It becomes very difficult. You get lost. Now, imagine that that city is Instagram, for example, and it's not you, but it's a 12-year-old child who has just got a new phone and he's just downloaded Instagram and he doesn't know where to go. So my point is that instead of letting that child enter such a zone in a very haphazard way, what we can do is introduce these mediums as a mode of learning in schools before a student gets the impression of the wrong things that are happening in society. We have a chance because we can't avoid social media from happening to a student. That's going to happen. What we can do is direct it in a way, in a direction that helps them go to the positive sides of social media rather than the sides which attack your body image, which give you some random stages of life that you are not affordable to a lot of us. So educating them with social media is also educating them about social media. So I think that's very important in our day and age.
Very well said, very well said. And I think a very, very evolved thought that we need to introduce the children. I think that will be a new curriculum altogether, a new chapter where, we are introducing them to these handles and not just about the usage, but their responsible usage. Excellent, Ayush. Thank you so much. Let's hear out what Madhav has to say on the usage of social media. Yes, Madhav.
Yeah, hello everyone. I think I completely agree with Ayushi's point on we should really introduce social media to classrooms these days, because I have been through that phase. I have been the child who doesn't know where to go when entering a social media platform. Uh, if I had been taught before about where to go and where to search about things, it could have been a better experience. I have been on the platforms for not a long time though, but I have discovered some things which are dark and which child shouldn't see these days. I think
Uh,
this, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I think
Madhav, have you ever had this experience of, or the temptation as students, I would like to ask, where you felt that I need to, I'm on the wrong form, like you were on a site or you were watching something which you felt you were watching, you were tempted to watch, or you were in that community, and at the back of your mind, you were also feeling I should not be there.
yeah,
Some that kind of
definitely.
incident. Yeah, if you
Yeah,
could just let
definitely.
us.
There have been many incidents like those. I mean, in on social media, you meet many people, even strangers you meet, and they give you some links or whatever, and you go on them. It could lead to some dark sides or some places that you shouldn't visit as a child. Rather
So
than
did anyone tell you? Did anyone tell you
about, sorry, what?
about those dark sites and you should not visit? Was there an
I
education
mean,
on that?
personally speaking, I had some seniors and my parents, they're very open to these communications. So I had some help with these things, but I've seen my peers go on those sites and then regretting going on those sites later on.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Madhav. And please stay here. We'll hear more of practical insights from you, Ayushi, and our panelists. I'm sure all of us elders will be very happy to hear your views out on this. My question next is addressed to Dr. Prashant Nair. And so you were talking about Facebook, and I was really impressed when you said that if Facebook would have been a country, it would have been the largest country. So Facebook is a social media platform that can be used in the classrooms. Teachers create those Facebook groups for their class as a group that have privacy settings and are safe to share information. And so my question to you is that, but then there have been instances where these they've gone on these private policies and all these have been hacked and they've gone on for a fixer. Could you just, educate us? Number one, would you recommend the usage of Facebook as a platform for learning? And two, would you also let us know about its pros and cons and the road forward? Yes, Dr. Nair.
Yeah, thank you. Absolutely, because as the community is very big and you have a very good chance for collaboration, that is one aspect of it. Now, when you're talking of a Facebook private group, there are in-house privacy settings, and it is the folks inside the group only get access to the page. They are only able to exchange messages. They are able to pass private messages. They are able to give announcements, and all the kind of resources, links for the resources of the class. Even there are alerts possible. Like, if there is a page, a Facebook community, the parents can get an alert. Oh, tomorrow there is a, you have to ask your ward to come in this dress because we are having a parade. So a lot of pluses are there with respect to usage of these groups, and there are in-house privacy settings. But having said that, now where does this go wrong? Where does it go into the dark side is, we have to build what is known as a digital etiquette. Now, ultimately, the who is in the group, it is a parent, it is a teacher, it is a student who is there in this private group. That every person who's using the group has to maintain some kind of digital etiquette. You should know where to, not to mix the personal and the professional. personal stuff should not be put there. It should be very responsibly put. Now, my own experience, I'm telling you, the university that I am in, that is Amrita Vishwavidyapeetham, is India's #1 private university. Our focus is research for society. And let me tell you, many of our research accomplishments have gone viral on social media, and that has helped us build collaborations. So, the social media is here to stay, but we have to be very careful. There are pluses. Minuses, I can even list down the minuses. There are scamming, flaming, fake news, phishing, strangers coming on to social media. There is cyberbullying. So many issues are there, but we have to educate everybody. I would strongly say digital citizenship, digital literacy, so as to speak, should be a compulsory subject for all school children. That would be the way to solve this.
I think very, very well said. Number one, digital etiquettes, which also relates to digital literacy, that needs to be, so I think this has to be incorporated in our curriculum. And the second is that we do realize that social media is here to stay, and we can't shun away. We have to find out via medias to it. Can I very hurriedly hear it out from Padmini? Padmini, do you have a Facebook page with your students, or are you with them, or have you ever used it for your purpose of disseminating knowledge?
Ma'am, well, on this platform, it is wrong to say so, but I am not on any social media.
No, it's completely fine. It's completely fine. That's why we want perspective. Yes.
So I rely mostly on person-to-person interactions. It's better for me. And if I go back to what Mr. Nair has said here, that we need to have etiquettes, the digital etiquettes. I want to know what will the etiquettes do when the child is alone and facing the screen and reading the comments, listening to the whatever, negative, positive, everything. He or she is alone.
Madhav, what do you have to say on that? Anything?
I mean, I think she's right till the point that child can, get disheartened by these comments or whatever. But if he or she has been taught by the beginning that, you don't take these comments into account, they're just stress of other people taking it out on you. Most of the cases are like these only. Like people take their anger of another place on these videos, and then they put in wrong comments and everything. So it's nothing to worry about in your case of content.
Ayushi, very quickly, I want to hear you out. How does the thing operate? Are you people using it for the purpose of your dissemination or collaboration of projects? Anything, any benefits? Because you're a liberal arts student, so let's hear it out from you. Yes, Ayushi.
No, definitely. My college still hasn't opened, so everything is obviously online. But my college also has this very creative approach towards their projects. So we definitely use platforms like Instagram and all, not to garner maybe attention from audiences or to go viral, but on the kind of content, on the kind of creativity that we can showcase using the means that we are already using in everyday life. I use Instagram daily. But if I can pull up my phone and maybe not scroll and instead do some homework or some assignment on it, then that's a better learning process and a better use of my time. So that's what my university has already begun doing on us students. So that's a great experiment, according to me.
Okay, we'll come back to you again to have more insight on this. Thank you so much. My next question is to Ms. Gunjan Mehrotra. Ma'am, to put it very simply, like, the power of visual learning, we all know. So when it comes to images, Instagram, Flickr can be of a great source for photo-based lesson or projects. I know this is something very new and very normal and unprecedented that we are talking about. Students can use Instagram can they actually, for a photo essay or present a series of photos while storytelling, how will you guide our educators to start, at a basic level to use Instagram? And do you think it will add fun element or bring in like more educate? Because that's the only way. If you keep guiding or if you keep yourself away from social media, then that'll never happen. And we all know a great chunk of the world exists on virtual media. So we need to anyways invite. So how will you guide the educators in using maybe any social media? I've listed Instagram in front of me, but I would be open if you want to take up any other example.
I am a bookworm. I like reading books, but if you think of your grandparents, the only way they could earn knowledge was through the books. Then came the radio, then came the television. People had their own reservations. Then came the telephone, and now we are in the midst of a total revolution with social media all around us. I was just listening to Ayushi and Madhav, and I was particularly interested in listening to the two of them. I wanted to hear the version of the young people. So we as elders, we always want to connect with the young people, but we cannot connect with the young people if we do not change our language and our style, because they should be equally interested in listening to us. So if we are not learning their language, okay, if we say yo or bingo, so the children, they connect better with such teachers. They connect better with young teachers. I think Ayushi and Madhav can speak better, but I believe that they may have a lot of respect for all their teachers, but that connection, that being fearless, speaking what you want to speak, asking your doubts with extreme clarity, all these things happen when you connect with a teacher who's ready to come down to your level. So keeping that in mind, if we allow our children to use a little bit of Instagram or Facebook, or project their achievements on Facebook, these things cannot be a total taboo, because even if we make it a taboo in the classroom, you cannot disconnect the children. They cannot be Robinson Crusoe. They cannot be an island. They have to grow with the others. If everybody is using it, and now we are in the midst of a time when retention of knowledge is not important. Because retention is becoming outdated now. With Google at our service, retention is not the problem. I am not trying to start a debate here. I'm just trying to say that to connect better with the young people, it is okay to allow a little bit of social media, because the most important, I'm not saying that the entire thing has to be ruled by social media, because experience and traditional style has its own importance. During the online classes also, the children missed their teachers, the physical presence of the teacher. So I'm not saying that everything can be done by social media, but yes, using it as a tool, I'll repeat, whether it's Instagram or Facebook or Twitter. Okay, why not write a letter to the Prime Minister saying that this has been discussed so many times, but nothing has been done? Don't you think it will boost the confidence of the child if the Prime Minister replies to him? That is a way of becoming smarter, becoming up to the minute, professional. And these children are going to face a lot of competition. When if my child is 10 years of age, after 10 years, after 2030, I'm sure he'll not be doing the job that many of us are doing. It's already stated that 65% of jobs will change. They are not even invented. So keeping that in mind, you cannot divorce these technical tools. You have to make your children grow in conjunction with all these tools. You simply cannot ask the children to depend entirely on the traditional style of learning. That is going to make them lose out on a number of things, because Discovery Channel used to be such a nice way of learning. So why not learn through the different sites that we have? It's okay. Treat it as a slave, and it's going to solve the purpose.
Great. Thank you so much, ma'am. Could I request Ms. Poonam Gautam to just list about, say, 3 or 4 guidelines, or maybe 4 pointers where social media in classroom can be purposefully integrated? if you could just let, even 3 would be fine. If you could bang on, tell our educators,
yeah.
because there are lots of them. Yes.
I was just going through the chat box. Mr. Arun has very rightly said that for anything new, there is always a resistance. And if
Yes.
I talk of today's time, students know more than the teachers. And there's another question by Mamta Thakur, that how to legitimate the social media in classroom. Here, I would like to tell everyone that CBSE is already in process, and NUPA has started incorporating the syllabus, which is quite related to that. And if I talk of bringing social media into the classroom, it's already being followed. Like, I am the principal of Setema Jaipuria school. The school is totally on Wi-Fi. We have the teachers' content, the teachers' lesson plans. They have the link of like, suppose I'm teaching a chapter and they have the link. It can be from the Discovery Channel, it can be a YouTube link, it can be any link, and the teachers have to use those videos. They click on the link and those videos are played in the classroom. So we cannot ignore the social media. We cannot do away, like what Gunjan ma'am has just now said, we cannot divorce the social media. We have to live with it, because now is the time of artificial intelligence. See,
Right.
I'm living in Lucknow, I'm living in India. I might work in a firm where my firm might be maybe somewhere in Kazakhstan, and my boss might live somewhere
Yes.
in US. So you don't
Right.
know. You might not even see your bosses for your lifetime, but yes, you are working under them. So it's high time we need to prepare our children for tomorrow, and we have to accept them. We have to initially many of us, like even I as a principal, I as a teacher, I was like quite not very comfortable in handing over the mobiles to the children in the school, but we have to accept them. In today's time, as of today, if I say, I am telling the parents, please give a nice handset to your child so that the child is able to browse it. But yes, along with this, we need to be alert. The parents,
Very
as
good.
well as the teachers, all of us. And we need to make our students understand and realize their responsibility. We cannot be their watchdogs all the time. The day students are children, they understand their responsibility. We need to make them understand what is good, what is bad. And if we taboo something for them, they will be more encouraged to try it out. हम जिस चीज के लिए मना करते हैं, बच्चे वो काम जरूर करते हैं. Then why not? ठीक है, if you go for it, this is the result of it. We will not make it a taboo. We will educate them.
Yeah.
Like if I talk
Very
of
well.
sex education, there was a time when sex education in schools was considered to be a taboo. But in today's time, this is very much there in the curriculum. So in a way, maybe after a year or so, the social media will be there in the classroom as part of our curriculum.
Very true. Very rightly
We
said.
are
And
already
I think-
using YouTube videos and all to explain the content better.
Right. Right. Absolutely. I think that's, and as you rightly said, that there was a time like we principal were, gearing up our staff to conduct those raids to see if anybody has got a mobile phone. And today we are all telling the parents to, get, it's such an ironical situation, but yes. And of course, we are so much talking about the 21st century skills. And those 21st century skills of collaboration, critical thinking, looking at logical thinking, building perspectives, how will they come unless they, so educating is, actually this brings me to another question. And again, I would like to throw this question to all our panelists. We were talking about digital citizens, netizens. The moment, we talk about the term citizen comes, the word citizen brings in a lot of responsibility, a kind of conduct. So what is digital citizenship or who are digital citizens, number one. And number two, that how can we educate both the teachers, the students, to become with the concept of digital citizen. As ma'am said that CBSE through New PI is on the verge of incorporating this syllabus. So I think the first lesson has to be of digital citizenship. So I begin with Dr. Nair here. Yes, Dr. Nair, you had first spoken about this. Let us hear it out from you.
Yeah. So as I mentioned, I emphatically feel about the need for inculcating digital citizenship in the curriculum. Now there are two aspects to this. I also echo Padmini ma'am's focus that yes, a child is alone and there is nobody to guide that student. I am very well aware of that fact. But when I'm talking about digital citizenship, there are two parts to this. One is, how do you remain safe? That's the first aspect. How do you remain safe? What is your online safety? You need to be safe. You need to be cognizant of risky behavior. You need to stay clear of things that you're not supposed to see. You need to know what is a scam. You need to know what is a fake news. You need to ascertain who is a cyber bully and stuff. So there is one aspect about the safety aspect. The second aspect is, when you are a digital citizen, you have to follow some protocols. Now, one aspect is, of course, etiquette. How do you behave online? Second is, what is your footprint? Whatever you put on social media sticks. I mean, you can delete it maybe from your page, but it will be available in somebody else's page if that person has shared it or liked it. So what is your digital footprint? How do you maintain your digital footprint? Because it's going to stick throughout your life. And finally, the wellness aspect is there. When I say wellness, anything too much is a bad thing, right? A lot of Amrita will become poison, right? So, I'm translating from Malayalam proverb, too much of Amrita is also poison. And we have to be able to, give that digital wellness, digital etiquette, and digital footprint. That is the second focus of digital citizenship. Now, I also wanted to add one very important point: the teacher. The role of the teacher has changed. The teacher is going to be an enabler and facilitator of learning, and the teachers have to adapt. That's why. With that, I hand over.
I think very well said, bang on that. And something very new which I heard is digital footprints. You have to be very cautious of what. And two is that teachers are the enablers, because so teachers, whether they like it or they don't, they will have to eventually come on this platform. And they are the ones, because the direct interaction is between the teacher and the student. So there is a lot of responsibility that lies on the teachers, and they will eventually have to adapt to this. And but also that is, of course, that will be an add-on burden to the teachers, because it was much easier to open the book and teach a lesson. Let me very quickly hear it out from Padmini ma'am. Padmini ma'am, eventually we will have to adapt. So if I say that, what are those 3 lessons you would want to teach, or you would want to tell your students to responsibly use social media? What would that be?
Thank you so much, Devyani ma'am. But I think we are oscillating between the need to bring social media into the classroom and or to use the digital platform as a medium of acquiring knowledge. So I would like to know that if we are debating on bringing the social media into the classroom, then, or we are already using.
Today's we are only talking about social media. Digital and online virtual teaching, that is digital platform, is already there. We are talking about bringing social media in the classrooms, because coming world will be a digital. So if you have to tell your students about how to be responsible digital citizens, what are those two things you would tell them?
Even if I lay down the rules, educate my children on the online rules, on the social media rules. Again, I am reiterating on the fact that once you open up the screen, the child is alone with the screen. It is screen and I. So, although it's a hesitant entry of social media, it would be a hesitant entry of social media into my classroom. I would ask the child, I have to go back on my words and say that it is a step between the deep sea and the devil. Why?
Yeah.
I am not able to pinpoint it. I am only seeing the widening gap of communication, which is already existing in the families because of the social media. Each one is lost with their phones in their own bedrooms. And whatever little human communication that we have here in terms of spontaneity, laughter, body language, it's lost. So if at all I were to bring the social media into the classroom, since I'm an English teacher, maybe I would go for a storytelling, but ask the children to face both the bouquets and the brickbats.
Yeah, and maybe you would tell the students to refrain from and use respectable language and refrain from any kind of, abusive or slang. Here I come to Miss Poonam Gautam and Miss Mehrotra. What are those two lessons you would want to give to your students, and to Miss Mehrotra, two lessons to the teachers? How should the teachers kind of adopt and adapt? So here we are not just talking about adapting social media, we are talking about making their students responsible digital citizens. That is the need of the hour. That is our problem that we are facing. Yes, Ms. Poonam Gautam.
Teachers are interacting with the children more than the parents. Like children listen more to their teachers. So when teachers will take up the social media in the classroom, when they will make children understand the positive as well as the negative aspect of that, maybe then children will realize, keep fine, they shouldn't go to the black sites or the, to those areas. Like just now, Ayushi and one more child had said that the friends had, used those sites and then later on they repented. Because maybe like not every parent will be open to discuss these issues with the children. But here the teachers will have to play the role of the parents also at many places. So we need to make our children understand. And then secondly, we don't have to make it a taboo. If we will make it a taboo, then children will be encouraged to experiment it further and further. And teachers will have to update themselves. See, learning is a process which continues till our last breath. We need to understand that, and teachers also need to update themselves, and they also need to learn a lot. So once they are updated, then only they'll be able to pass it on to the students. And in case we don't know something, then we should be open enough to accept, yes child, come on, you teach me how it is to be done. It gives a sense of pride. So like there's no harm in accepting. We can learn from students, we can learn from anybody for that matter. So the acceptance has to come from the teachers as well as from the parents and the students as well.
Very rightly said, because for the educators, acceptance and adaptability, these are the key words. Because if they were initially taking the value education lectures on, good conduct, झूठ नहीं बोलना, चोरी नहीं करनी, मारना नहीं है. So this is another code of conduct, which is to be taught to the Gen Alpha or to the netizens So they need to adapt, they need to transform themselves. So that is a major paradigm shift that both the educators, because students are in any case smarter than educators when it comes to usage of social media. So where is the role of an educator? Here is, yes, Ms. Narota, what you have to say on that?
See, even parents are educators. We cannot rule out the role of parents in the education of their children. The teachers can give long lectures. They can tell the children what is to be done at the digital platform, what shouldn't be done. But it is ultimately the parent who has to keep a more vigilant watch on the child. But if the parent is using social media or Facebook or whatever for say 8 hours, 10 hours a day, then you cannot expect the children to learn anything. So first we need to discipline ourselves as educators, as elders. Once we discipline ourselves, the children will learn how to use social media. If we are using social media the entire day, we simply cannot expect the children to listen to us. If we tell them, okay, I'm watching this film on YouTube and you go and study, that's not going to help. I was listening to Ma'am Das and I could, feel the concern that she has for the way the children are losing grip on the reality. So yes, you cannot make a great personality by photoshopping. You become a great personality only when you know the reality, the requirement, and at the same time, you understand how and what has to be done in what quantity. So we as educators, as parents, we have to set the right example for our children. That is the only way through which we have to tell them, see, there are so many sites that can inform us about numerous things. So we ourselves need to be well informed. Yes, ma'am, Gautam was right that we can take the help of children at a number of places, but we have to regulate our habits. What the children see, they learn. That's as per me, that is the only way that we can ensure the judicious use of social media.
Very well said. They learn what they see or they learn what they live. So big responsibility on the educators, on the parents, how they use their social media, what images, again, judicious use, how they are reacting on it. Because here we've been talking about, the demerits and the concerns, but we also see there is the deliberation will be incomplete if I don't highlight the many benefits that we have been receiving and of through social media. Now, social media and technology are integral parts. They have become integrated. You look at ordering food, ordering, your transport or any kind of we live, it's there in our drawing rooms, it's there in our bedrooms, it's everywhere in our life. Implementing these into the classrooms feel more natural, honestly, than ever before. And post-pandemic, it's none of the social media is the same as it used to be. And social media enables, we see more e-learning opportunities. Children are able to there and then look at, feel, explore the concepts much better. So can you recommend, Dr. Nair, and in fact later on all our panelists, 2 benefits of using social media in the classrooms, not generally, specific to our educators? And this is my last question, and then we will move on to our educators. The educators will be themselves asking questions to the panelists. So could you recommend 2 benefits of using social media in the classrooms? Please be very specific. Yeah. Yes, Ms. Gautam.
One is communication and collaboration. It's a very good avenue for communication and collaboration in the community, that is the teachers, the parents, and the children. Number 1. Number 2, there is what do you say, bragging, bragging, or rather publicizing your achievements. And I'm just giving you a use case. You students are doing an awesome project. There are 30 students, they made 30 projects. One of the projects has got a outstanding outcome which the world deserves to know. So that is the second part, the publicizing part. So number one is collaboration and communication. Number two is the publicizing.
I think very well. Yes, Ms. Gautam, what will be your instructions or two merits or benefits which you think would be of social media?
Social media is very vast, and you get all kinds of knowledge. It's just that my advice is to be wise in choosing what we want.
Right.
So we need to be discreet in what we see, what we
Discreet.
observe, and what we use.
Yes, I think discreet, and since it's a vast pool where you have anything and everything under the sun, so art of discernment is very important. Yes, Ms. Gunjan Mehrotra, what would be those two views on this?
Well, I believe that knowledge is all around us, but wisdom has become a rare commodity. So we need to ensure that we are able to provide the righteous values to our children, virtues to our children. And we cannot rule out the traditional moral science classes, because if we are deeply rooted in values, then no matter what is happening all around us, our children will be able to make the maximum use of everything, every gadget, every technical support that they have, but still retain the goodness, the values that they must. So wisdom is something that is the way forward.
Benefits. Okay. Let's hear it out from our young student, Madhav. Madhav, you will tell us, and I expect at least 3 to 4 benefits from you, because you guys are always on social media. So what are those 4 benefits when it comes to academics, not social or any other thing? How does it benefit you? 4 points. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so first I think academics, limiting social media to academics might be very difficult.
Okay.
In classrooms, we limit ourselves to a point that we can't learn beyond this, because we'll continue this field in the future. But in social media, you can learn more and more stuff about it without limiting yourself to a point,
Right. So that's, one is learning is, better.
Yeah.
It goes beyond the textbook. Second,
Okay.
how has it benefited you? Yeah, because I want to hear it out. This is all about you, who are the people who are, the torch bearers. So what else? How else has it benefited you? Well, in classroom, academically, unacademically, in classroom, in your personal life, benefited you in your personal life?
Okay, in my personal life, I think social media, obviously, me being a new student to my school, like I joined my school this year, I wasn't able to connect. Obviously, there was no offline classes because of the pandemic. So I wasn't able to connect much with the students or the teachers. Social media has allowed me to know about them and talk to them, know their thoughts, and gain more knowledge.
So communication and collaboration. So going beyond the textbooks, communication and collaboration. Anything else? I think I'm pushing you too much against
maybe like learning about real life examples somehow.
Yeah, very right. Yeah. Thank you so much. And now we come to the last segment of this program, and we have changed. This time we have audience directly asking their own questions to the panelist of their choice. Yes. Kuika, could you assist me in this? Could you choose amongst the panelists, amongst the viewers, if there is any viewer who want to ask any question to the panelist of their own choice?
Ma'am Kapoor, there in the chat box, I'm sorry, I'm interrupting in between.
No, please.
Archana has written that in this discussion, we have confused between 2 terms: use of technology, video, etc., and use of social media, which is Facebook and Instagram. Please do not confuse the terms. So here I would like to make it clear that YouTube is also a part of social media. And yes, we are using Facebook and Instagram also there in the classroom, because Instagram has come up with a lot many good videos. Like you can make your own videos and put it on Insta. You make your own videos and put it on Facebook. So
Right.
if a child has narrated a story beautifully in the classroom, we'll record it and we'll put it up on Facebook. Every school in today's time has got a Facebook page and a Facebook ID. So
Yes.
Facebook is being extensively used by the schools. Instagram is extensively used by the schools. So you cannot say that the school and institutions are not using the social media.
Right. We have a question which says how to make the class enticing and suggest some online aids to make the student enthusiastic on virtual platform. But here this question is sent by Sweetie Kalantri Indore, but this we are actually talking about not technology and virtual online classes. We are talking specifically about social media. So I will let this question pass. How effective can the social media in the rural areas of our country be? That's a very nice question by Sudita Gopi of Jain Heritage School. Sir, if you could answer this question, address this question.
Yeah, there is definitely a digital divide, rural areas versus, urban locales. But, I think this is a leveler. You have an phone connection, you have a mobile phone with a 3G or a 4G connection. You have complete access to all the any media as good as a person sitting in a metro. So I think this is a leveler. This levels makes a level playing field, and definitely, to reach the unreached in the rural areas, tribal hamlets and all, people are now working on tablet education, using social media, using internet technologies and so on. So that's the way forward. If you want to, make this country have a very good gross enrollment ratio, this is the way forward. India's gross enrollment ratio is close to 27%. That is 27 out of 100 folks go for higher education, and we are aiming at 50. So we need to leverage all these technologies, tablet education, social media, if we want to reach the unreached.
Right. I hope Sudeepa Gopi would have got clarity on her question. There is another question.
Ms. Ritika Bandari who would like to ask a question herself.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am, for the opportunity. There are questions about using social media, and there are people who are getting confused. So I would like to just suggest that even making podcast is also a social media which has not been talked about. So we can use that particular platform. We can share, small stories. Our kids can make small stories and, come up with some podcast. And secondly, WhatsApp, I think every one of us is using for our class activities. So that's again a social media we are using. Just wanted to broaden this point.
Yeah, very true. Thank you so much. Vika, do we have any other participants who would like to?
Ma'am, we have Ms. Mamta Thakur who would like to ask a question.
Yes, Ms. Mamta. And who's the panelist whom you want to ask the question?
It's Ayushi. Please, I just want to ask from Ayushi. Yes, first of all, thank you so much for picking up my question. The question is based on cyberbullying, right? It will be for students as well as for teachers. Though we know up to some extent, some sort of settings while we conduct a class through Zoom meeting and all, but still on a wider aspect, we are not well versed yet. Like, how can we just get refrain of this cyberbullying? Can you please elaborate on this?
So, ma'am, cyberbullying is, as far as I know, it's a form which happens on social media mostly because people are either free or they are not well versed with etiquette, which is what we also need to teach our students. And if all of the community is as educated and on social media, then most probably than not, cyberbullying will come down. But as for what you can teach your children, I personally had very good education when it came to my teachers. So we were constantly told about certain anecdotes which happen with people and to how to beware of certain things that happen. For example, like Madhav said, his peers did not have guidance when it came to those things. So my parents and my teachers were always aware of that. And I was constantly told in my classrooms that, beware of these things. It's fine to use, it's fine to, be with the world technologically, but there are certain guidelines which are included in cyberbullying, which can be studied and which can be included actually within the curriculum if we are bringing social media to the classrooms. I think that would have been helpful for me as well, which is why I think it will be helpful for students currently also.
Right.
So,
Me narrating anecdotes. So I mean,
Yeah.
though we are already doing it, but still listening from you, it's really reassuring my methods. Thank you so much. Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you so much. Can we have one more participant ask the question, Kuika? Though we are running short of time, if we could have just one more, or can we wind up?
We have one question from Miss Meenakshi. It is in the chat box, but allow me, Miss Meenakshi, you can ask that question yourself, and do also let us know which panelist you would like to ask that question to.
And please introduce yourself as well.
Yes, good evening all.
Good evening.
Am I audible to
Yes.
everyone? I'm Meenakshi Mohan from Shamford Futuristic School, and I want to congratulate Devyani ma'am. Ma'am, very informative. Always your sessions are very informative. Now I want to ask one question, and my question is like how artificial intelligence is helpful to use social media in our classroom. And my question is to Mr.
Dr. Prashant Nair.
Prashant sir. Yeah.
Yes, because I think he is competent to ask that, answer that
Yes,
question.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And I wanted to know. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Excellent question. Yes.
Thank you, Meenakshi. I wanted to just, there is a formula, AI plus X, artificial intelligence plus X. This X can be anything under the sun. It can be Hindi language, it can be Sanskrit, it can be classrooms, teaching, it can be anything. So artificial intelligence is going to change everybody's life, and there is absolutely no field that is not going to be impacted by artificial intelligence. Now, when you talk about social media, there will be analytics. When you're using social media analytics or you're using online tools, artificial intelligence will be able to predict and tell you that these are the things that are going to be hot. These are the things that are going to be more relevant. These are the concepts that have not been understood well by the students, and maybe they may even be able to predict why. So it is AI plus X. X can be anything and everything under the sun. That's my answer. I think we are running short of time.
Yes.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. I hope, Meenakshi, that you would have got your answer. With this, we come to the end. The use of social media presents both advantages as well as challenges. Mostly, its benefits are seen in terms of accessing course contents, video clippings, transfer of the instructional notes, etc. and etc. We also saw in the deliberation that as parents, as educators, we need to adopt and adapt to this transition. We need to be prepared for the 21st century futuristic education. And only then we will be able to guide our students. With coming to an end with this, and thank you so much, all our panelists. A special thanks to our young students, Ayushi and Madhav, who were called at the nick of the time, and I think we got a wonderful perspective from you. Thank you so much, Padmini ma'am, and thank you all our esteemed panelists. Looking for more such pertinent issues and deliberating more on this show, please write to us at info@edudevs.com in case you have any topics in mind, and we shall try and initiate discussions on those topics when it comes to futuristic education in the 21st century. Thank you so much, each one of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Devyani ma'am.
Thank you
for
so
this
much.
opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.